Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Justine Somaji and I'm the Regional Marketing Manager for North America at Griffith University in Australia. I assume that if you're watching this presentation, you are interested in pathways from SAIT to Australian institutions. So today I'm going to talk about Griffith and why Griffith is a great option for completing your degree. And we'll talk a little bit about the pathway options. So let's go ahead and get started. So Griffith is actually ranked in the top 2% of universities worldwide. So you will find us in all of the major academic rankings. And this just gives you some assurance that a university degree from Griffith will actually be accepted and acknowledged elsewhere in the world. So there is that recognition. Griffith does do research in lots of different areas. We are a comprehensive university, so we do have a wide range of subject areas, and we also offer degrees from the bachelor level right through to PhD. So research is important, and we do research across all of those areas, but at the same time, teaching is also extremely important to us, and we're actually Australia's most awarded teaching university. In terms of numbers, Griffith is a large university with about 50,000 students. About 20% of those students are international students from over 130 different nationalities. And although we are a big university, those student numbers are spread across campuses. So we have 5 physical campuses and 1 digital campus as well. So it's not like you're walking into one campus of 50,000 students. Our largest campus at the moment is the Gold Coast campus, and it has about 18,000 students. We have just over 200 degrees now at Griffith and thousands of courses. So we pretty much offer something for everybody. There aren't too many subject areas that we don't cover at Griffith. Now, where exactly are we? Because Australia is a big country like Canada. So you'll see on the map here that the state of Queensland is highlighted. That is where all of our campuses are located. So I did mention the campus on the Gold Coast. We also have 4 campuses in the capital city of Queensland, which is Brisbane. And Brisbane and the Gold Coast are only about an hour from each other. So wherever you end up studying, whichever campus, rest assured that you're only an hour from the other location. So you'll certainly have plenty of time to explore it on weekends and holidays. So in Brisbane, as I mentioned, we do have 4 campuses. So the main campus is Nathan. It's pretty much a mirror image of the Gold Coast. It has a few things, the Gold Coast has a few things that Nathan doesn't have, but it is still a very comprehensive campus. Mount Gravatt is just across the road from Nathan, actually, and it's more focused on kind of education and criminology programs. South Bank, as you can see on the left there with the College of Art, Film School and Conservatorium, is definitely the creative arts hub of Griffith. And Logan is kind of on the outskirts of Brisbane, actually heading towards the Gold Coast. And it's very focused on human services and social work type programs. So life in Queensland is pretty good, as you can see from the pictures there. We are called the Sunshine State for a good reason. We have over 300 days of sunshine per year. So you can see from the temperatures there that we really don't get any such thing as winter, certainly not by Canadian standards. So the temperature is pretty good all year round. You can get some, higher days like well into the 30s with high humidity in summer, but generally it doesn't last too long before there's a thunderstorm and, it breaks the heat and humidity, and the temperature comes back to a more reasonable level. So we're pretty lucky in terms of climate all year round. So I mentioned that Brisbane is the capital city of Queensland, and it has about 2.1, 2.2 million people, and the Gold Coast has about 600,000. Keep in mind that the Gold Coast is a tourism hub, so you will see groups of people coming in and out throughout the year. So it often feels quite a bit bigger than 600,000. Both cities have fantastic public transport systems. So if you're in Brisbane, depending on which campus you're studying at, you'll be taking the bus, the train, or the ferry. Particularly if you're at the South Bank campus, you may be taking the ferry. If you're at the Gold Coast, you'll be taking the G-Link tram, which runs right along the Gold Coast and captures all those major suburbs. Or you'd be coming by bus. So this is an aerial view of the campus at the Gold Coast, and you'll see Surfers Paradise in the background there. If you know the Gold Coast, you probably have heard of Surfers Paradise. It's kind of the most well-known, where most tourists will go. It's got a lot of, shopping and restaurants and nightlife, things like that. And our campus is located in Southport, which is, if you're taking the G-Link tram, it's about 20 minutes from Surfers Paradise. So you don't have to live on campus at Griffith. You don't even have to live in the same suburb. As long as you're on the tram line or on a bus route, you'll be able to get to campus really quickly. And of course, I have to show the photo of students enjoying life on the Gold Coast. So you'll see the water here is actually part of the canal system that also runs along the coast. It's not only an actual, beach and coastal waters. So moving on now to downtown Brisbane, you'll see on the right, that is where our South Bank campus is. So you'll see with the Gallery of Modern Art there, it is definitely the creative art kind of hub, not just of Griffith, but of the city as well. I just wanted to show this as well, although not, most of you probably won't be going to the South Bank campus. I did want to show on the left there, we do have the Student One accommodation. This is one of Griffith's preferred accommodation partners. So again, if you don't want to live on campus at Nathan, for example, if you were studying at Nathan, you could live in downtown Brisbane and catch the bus out to Nathan campus, and you'd be there in about 20 minutes. And this is Nathan campus. You can see a lot of greenery there, and that's because Nathan and Mount Gravatt campuses are actually located within a national park. So definitely something to keep in mind if you are an environmental science student. My colleagues on this campus often send me photos of wildlife like koalas, that they can see from their office windows. So a very cool place to study for sure. And although Brisbane is located on a river, not on the coast, there is a man-made beach in downtown Brisbane. So this is actually at South Bank, so very close to the South Bank campus. So yeah, students like to go here, during lunch break or after classes. Definitely a great place to unwind. Let's talk a little bit now about programs. So I did mention that Griffith has over 200 degree programs. So we really do run the gamut. So when I said we were comprehensive, I wasn't kidding. We run, programs in things like, business through to criminology and law, all the basic humanities and liberal arts, the big health programs like medicine, dentistry, psychology, all that kind of stuff. I mentioned environmental science before, aviation, and of course, all of the visual and creative arts as well. Now, one of the big things about Griffith's degrees is that we really focus a lot on employability, and there are a lot of ways, during your study at Griffith that you can take advantage of this assistance with making yourself employable and ready for graduation. One of the main things I would say is the work integrated learning. So work integrated learning is kind of like co-op, but it's built in throughout your program at Griffith. So you don't take a whole semester to do it. You take a normal semester. Normally that would be 4 courses with us. You would take 3 regular courses, and then 1 course would be kind of your co-op or internship. So yeah, this is built in throughout every program at Griffith. And depending on how you structure your program, you could actually take multiple work integrated learning opportunities. So let's just take a little break. I'm going to show you a video here of what some of our students say about their experience at Griffith.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Webber, and I'm from Eastern Canada. I'm introducing you to some of my friends that come Griffith Mates. It's a world-class university, and this has been really reflected in the standard of teaching that I've experienced at Griffith. I know me by name, and it's been such a great learning environment. So I chose Australia because I had some friends that traveled over here a couple of years ago and told me how beautiful it was. One of my best experiences here at Griffith was definitely meeting thousands of people who I fell out with. Learning how to graduate, learning how to fun, definitely running in inside. Our tour in Griffith University was very, very helpful. Every day I had the opportunity to stay at last minute, not only that's really helpful, and I really appreciate that. I was learning nervous, so I'm not sure how people are understanding. I was not confident. Australia because of the people and just the whole atmosphere, the have nice weather all the time, and just go to the beach, and just a different lifestyle. That is my friends, contributing on the side, and just being yourself. I live in definitely met lots of friends in early that made me really comfortable being here. I was really welcoming and being part of social media. It's studying at Griffith, it's going to help me in my career. I look forward to welcoming you to the Griffith community.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the academic year. So in Australia, we run on a calendar year for our academic calendars. And Griffith is slightly different in that we have a trimester system, not a semester system. So instead of maybe 14 or 15 week semesters, we have 12-week trimesters. Trimester 1 and 2 are compulsory. Trimester 3 is not. We do have a lot of programs that offer courses over trimester 3, and you can even start many programs in trimester 3, but it's not compulsory. So you could just take a nice long break if you want to. So to give you an idea, this is what the calendar looks like for 2021. So orientation is in March, which is actually a little bit late. Normally orientation would be in February, but 2021, the calendar is running slightly different. So March to June, then you would have exams and a break. Trimester 2 runs from July to October, and then trimester 3 is November through to February. And if you're not doing trimester 3 study and you're not finished your program, you can, work during this time. I'll talk a little bit more about work rights in a moment, but you can work. You can obviously travel around Australia. You can travel, to New Zealand, into Asia. So many possibilities from the Brisbane and Gold Coast. They're great launching off points. Or yeah, you can come back to Canada. Yeah, there's so many opportunities because it is a long break. So of course we do offer credit for prior learning, and we have a lot of partnerships with colleges across Canada, including SAIT. So we do have a lot of established pathways, which I'll show you now. So again, because of all the wide range of subject areas that Griffith teaches and that SAIT also teaches, we have quite a few different types of pathways. So you'll see at the top there something like avionics technology runs into our Bachelor of Aviation Management program. We have business, environmental technology, hospitality, right through to IT and journalism. So lots of opportunities there. Generally, if you're doing a 2-year diploma, you'll be finishing our program in a 1.5 years. And if you have a 3-year diploma, you'd be finishing our program in 1 year. There are some exceptions to this, but generally that will be the rule. Most of these programs you can start in February or July. There are, again, a few exceptions where there might be only a trimester 1 start or only a trimester 2 start. But yeah, generally it's fairly flexible. Now, in terms of application, you can apply directly to Griffith through the program page on the website. It's very straightforward. It's all online, so you just fill out an application form. There is a question on there that says, do you wish to be assessed for credit? And you just tick yes. And then when they send you out the offer letter, it will tell you how much credit you've received and how much you have left to study with the Griffith program. If you don't want to apply by yourself, you are more than welcome to apply through one of our official education agent partners. We work with KOM consultants in Hamilton, Ontario, and Austrec in Perth, Ontario, and they help students right across Canada. If you apply with them, you don't pay our application fee, but you also don't pay them anything either. So it works out great for students who do want some extra help. I should also mention, just going back here for a moment to the pathways, if you don't see your program on this list, don't panic. We do have a lot of students applying from other programs. So if your program is not listed here, you can still apply in the ways that I've mentioned, and we will just assess your credit at the time of application rather than looking back. Admissions would normally look at this chart and go, okay, yes, we know what this is about, and issue the letter based on this. If your program has not been pre-assessed, then they will just assess it at the time of application. And again, when your letter goes out, it will tell you exactly how much credit you've got and how long you have left to finish our program. So it's pretty straightforward. The other thing we sometimes hear from students is, yes, their program is mapped to a specific program at Griffith, but they would actually like to pathway into something else. And if that's the case, again, we would just assess you at the time of application. So there are a lot of scholarships available at Griffith for international students, and they are specific to international students. You're not competing with domestic students for these scholarships. Most of them are based on academic excellence, but we also do have scholarships for family of current students or alumni, and we do have scholarships that are specific to a particular study area. Have a look at the link down here for international scholarships. This will give you a really good look at the type of scholarships we have available. The scholarships for 2021 are slightly different. There are 4 categories, but normally you would use the search function on the page and you can search by nationality, by study area and by program level, and a list will drop down and show you everything that you might be eligible to apply for. I definitely encourage Canadian students to apply for these scholarships because generally you guys do really well, and not just students coming into the professional health programs, but we do have a lot of students from our college partners also winning those scholarships. We actually just had one student he's pathwayed in for Criminology, and he won one of our biggest scholarships, which is the Remarkable Scholarship, and that's 50% tuition discount on your entire program. So definitely apply. It's worthwhile. And aside from the Remarkable Scholarship, there's generally not very much to the application. The Remarkable Scholarship does require a personal statement, but most of them don't require much aside from the application form. So it doesn't hurt to apply. Now, the other thing to remember with Australia is that you can actually work while you study. So your student visa, again, that's a very easy application process. It's all online. But when you get your student visa, there's actually a work permit built in. So you can work about 20 hours per week during your study periods. And in any holidays, for example, between trimesters, you can work full time. Minimum wage in Australia is pretty high. I think it's just over $20 an hour now, but most of my students earn far more than that. Even doing something like stacking supermarket shelves, you can earn $30 to $35 an hour. And we do have a careers and employment service at Griffith that will help you both with finding a job as a student, but also with preparing you for graduation. So if you want some help in, learning how to write a better resume, or how to network, how to answer selection criteria when applying for a job, all that kind of stuff, they cover all of this, and they run regular workshops throughout the year. In terms of the cost of studying, obviously your program fees are going to differ depending on what you're studying, but there are other costs you need to keep in mind as well. So aside from tuition fees, you will have your visa application fees. I believe that's running between $600 and $700 Australian dollars at the moment. All of these costs will be in Australian dollars, but keep in mind that the Australian and Canadian dollars are usually very close. In fact, recently the Canadian dollar has actually been stronger than the Australian dollar, so good thing for you. Aside from that, you have your overseas health cover. This is not a Griffith specific thing. This is an Australian government mandated health cover. So all international students must take this out, and it runs at about $600 per year. On top of that, you'll have flights, of course, cost of living, and any other kind of study related expenses like books and so on. Most materials at Griffith will be available online. Even textbooks are available for rent from the library. So there's not too much in terms of additional fees. Cost of living, I'll show you a slide on that in a moment. That will depend quite a bit on your style of living and what your expectation is. And flights, of course, it depends on where you're flying from. There are direct flights from Vancouver into Brisbane, or you can go Vancouver to Sydney and then take in a domestic flight from Sydney to Brisbane. Lots of different options. So keep your eye out on deals. A lot of websites do have specific student deals. And of course, after COVID, I think there'll be a lot of competition amongst airlines as well. So cost of living will depend quite a bit on the type of accommodation that you choose. So we do have on-campus accommodation. It is self-catered, so you do live in apartment style living. You have your own bedroom and you just share the kitchen and living areas, and your kitchen will be fully equipped, so you will be able to cook for yourself. So you can, buy groceries and cook, or you can eat out, order in, whatever you want to do. You can share a house off campus, of course, so that could end up being cheaper for you, but you can see there's quite a price range on rent. And by the way, this is per week. We pay rent per week in Australia. So the price differential there is because, if you're right on the beach, you're living in one of those high rises like behind me in Surfers Paradise, then you're going to be paying a lot more than if you live in an adjacent suburb or even a few blocks back from the beach. So the price range obviously reflects that. And I did mention that we have accommodation on campus. This is the Griffith University village at the Gold Coast. So as I mentioned, apartment style living, you have your own pool that's separate to the university's pool and facilities for working out, etc. But yeah, it's a nice place to live, but honestly, I would say most of our Canadians who come from college pathways would live off campus in one of the preferred accommodation options that we have on our website, or, you know, using one of the sites that we even recommend to domestic students to find places to live or share houses and so on. I think this is because the accommodation on campus, although nice, is filled with a lot of first-year Australian students, like coming directly from high school, as well as American and European study abroad students. So the vibe is a little bit more of a party vibe than a lot of our, you know, Canadian students prefer, because, you know, you guys have sort of already been studying. You've kind of got a little bit of the partying maybe out of your system. You're looking for a little bit more balance. You know, you still want to have a good time, but you also want to actually, you know, pass your classes and end up with a degree. So definitely lots of great options to live off campus. And here is a list of accommodation websites that we direct students to. So these are both for if you're looking for your own place, and also if you're looking for somebody who already has a place and is looking for a roommate. And again, on the accommodation website, we do actually have a list of preferred accommodation partners as well. So these are places that are off campus but are Griffith approved. And this is the tram that runs along the Gold Coast. So most likely if you're on the Gold Coast campus, you'll probably be getting pretty familiar with the tram. And we do offer free airport pickup as well for all international students. So as long as you book your service at least 72 hours before your departure, we will pick you up at either Brisbane or Gold Coast airports, and we will take you to any campus. So you don't have to be coming into the Gold Coast airport for us to drop you off at the Gold Coast campus or your Gold Coast accommodation. We will take you to either city. And there's great student life on our campuses. I think we have about 120 odd different clubs and societies for students to join, including a Canadian Students Club. But yeah, there's kind of all different sorts of clubs and events going on. Obviously, Australia is pretty sports crazy, so there are a lot of kind of sports and fitness clubs and events, but we have market days. We do a lot of food and cultural events. Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on, and not just during orientation when, you know, obviously it makes sense. There's a lot going on at that time, but all throughout the year, there's always something going on campus. And the Griffith Mates are definitely part of this scene. So this is a group of students, both international and domestic, who have been at Griffith for at least a year usually, and they form this group. It's basically a peer support group. They do a lot of events during orientation, but they also run events throughout the year. And they also offer a buddy program. So if you want to be paired up with a student, you know, one-on-one, somebody who's been there and kind of knows the ropes, they will do that for you. Also, if you're at all interested in volunteering, they do a lot of volunteering events as well as other free events for students. But yeah, if you're interested in giving back to the community, they do a lot of beach and bush care type of volunteering events. So definitely a good way to get involved. And this is the Gold Coast Aquatic Centre on campus. So obviously in the building, they have, you know, classes and all the kind of gym equipment that you would expect. and the pool is there as well for anybody's use. This is also an area that's used during orientation and sometimes through the year as well for outdoor movie nights. So they set up a big screen and you can float in the pool or sit on the grass. But yeah, it's a really fun way to watch a movie, particularly in summer when it's hot. It's nice to be in the pool. And I did mention that we do have a Canadian Students Association on campus. So you can, as well as meeting a lot of Aussies and people from other countries, you can also link up with other Canadians. And there is a lot of support on campus for students. Obviously, you have access to anything that any Griffith student would have access to, but there's a lot of dedicated support for international students as well. So the International Student Advisory is there to help you out with anything. So if you're not sure where to go, they're a great first step. So they can sort of help out with anything if you've got questions related to your visa or you know, where to get help in terms of academics or, you know, enrollment type questions. They're really helpful. And there's also health and wellbeing services. So we have a nurse and doctor on campus. Obviously, we care about, you know, your physical health and your mental health. You'll have access to counsellors as well. And we do have disability services available. I should also mention that if you need any kind of learning accommodations, please let us know when you apply and we can start getting the ball rolling to make sure that you're taken care of when you get to campus. All right, I've got another video for you. Let's have a look at the student experience at Griffith, just to give you a little taste of what life on campus will be like. Oh, wrong way. There we go. So that's it from me. I did want to give you some contact details, so please feel free to reach out to me with questions at any time. I am based in Canada. I'm actually just outside Toronto. So yeah, please get in touch. My email is j.somagee@griffith.edu.au. You can also call or text me on 519-993-8711. You can find me on Skype as Genki Aussie, and you can also check out my Instagram account, which is GriffithU_Justine. If you want to have a look at, you know, pictures of Brisbane and the Gold Coast, look at, you know, what students are up to on campus, all of that kind of stuff. Definitely a great place to look at. But thank you so much for joining me. And as I said, please reach out anytime with questions. More than happy to help you out in your application process or answer any questions that you have before you start the process at all. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye.